Maddie and I talked a few times, but never became really close until last year. We had history together, and I was freaking out because I didn't know who to sit with at lunch. I didn't want to be alone. Maddie told me I could sit with her at lunch. The bell had rang, and we were standing in the lunch line. The lunch lady had told me if I didn't take my jacket off, then I would have gotten a Thursday school, or I couldn't eat. Maddie told me to just take it off, that it wasn't a big deal. But to me it was. I've been struggling with depression since the 7th grade, so I had started cutting myself. Maddie took me to the bathroom and told me it would be okay and gave me her long sleeve shirt. After that, we became really close friends. Every time she heard someone call me a name, she would say something to them. For the first time, I felt wanted at school. After that school year, Maddie and me hung out a lot. At the beginning of our sophomore year, Maddie and me kind of split apart. I started hanging out with the wrong people, and they weren't very nice. They weren't very nice to other people and weren't very nice to me. But I still called them my friends. Until one day I went to the library to study and hang out with some people. Then 3 girls showed up. One of them is the one that jumped Maddie, and they were going to jump me. But I refused to go outside. They ended up leaving, and I stayed at the library because I didn't want to walk home alone. So I knew if I stayed long enough, my dad would show up to get me. I didn't go to school that Tuesday because I was scared to see those girls. I just told my mom I was sick, and I was hoping she would just let it go. That night, a boy had made a status about me and my friends. I felt worthless and unwanted. But once again, Maddie stuck up for me. That night, I took a bunch of pills to kill myself. I ended up in the hospital in Columbus the same day Maddie had gotten jumped. The therapist there told my parents they couldn't tell me until a week later. When I got out of the hospital, I went to see Maddie. And I was really nervous because I felt like everything was my fault. My best friend got jumped because I refused to tell an adult. Kids are scared to tell adults, and that's a problem. We all need to help the kids going through bullying. Adults need to make a bigger deal out of it instead of just ignoring it and letting it go.
When you hear the word bullying, what do you think of? I think of one mean kid and their friends picking on a smaller kid who has no friends. Now, when I tell you that in America, 4,400 teens a year commit suicide due to bullying, does the image in your head change? Using superior strength or influence to intimidate is the definition of bullying. Those 7 words do not even begin to explain what it is to be or to see someone be bullied. With that being said, every situation is different. Whether it is peer, cyber, or self-bullying, all of those labels are used to describe the emotional toll of something that makes you feel like you are less than a human being. For me, it was mostly self-bullying. Growing up, I didn't have much. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom and with my dad and grandma in a white house in Bucyrus, Ohio. We didn't have a lot of the things that others' family did. Our clothes weren't brand new. Our house wasn't the best, but I didn't think anything of it. To me, it was the place where my family was. It was home. But other people didn't see it that way. And once they started pointing it out, I saw it differently as well. I was embarrassed and started to feel bad about myself and the things I had. And as I continued to grow up, I felt worse and worse. I started to think that if I looked different, people would like me. But no matter what I did, I still didn't like myself. I hated myself, and I blamed it all on my appearance. So I thought that if I could change the way I look, I would change how I felt and how others made me feel. But honestly, I didn't like myself because I didn't think other people liked me. And to me, that was the most important thing. I started acting out. I didn't listen to anyone. I got into a lot of trouble, but eventually I realized that that just made things harder. Then later I moved schools. I moved to Gagnon schools. I wanted a fresh start, but it was a lot harder than I expected. Being the new kid honestly isn't easy, especially when you're older. It's harder to make friends. And all I worried about was fitting in. I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to be normal. But what is normal? I was so obsessed with the idea of being normal that I completely lost my definition of self. But eventually I made some friends, and things were good for a while. There were ups and downs, but everything was okay. A couple times I thought the world was ending because there was an argument between our group of friends. Sure, there's drama, we're in high school, but that is not the drama that led to the fight. You see, Jeanette and I never liked each other. Well, that's a bit of an understatement. We absolutely hated each other. And really, it all started because of a boy. And as silly as it sounds, once he was out of the picture, we still kept hating each other. But we never really went out of our way to fight with each other, physically or verbally. Until someone posted a status on Facebook about me and my best friends, calling us names and saying all kinds of negative things. That is the drama that started the fight. A lot of people were commenting and arguing on that status. Me and my friends, them and their friends, people I didn't even know were arguing on that status. There were 300 plus comments, and someone brought Jeanette and I up, and we just exploded on each other online. Because of all of this, we had agreed to fight on a Saturday. But the next day at school during lunch, the same kid who posted the status threw a slushie at me and my friend, which we ignored. He then started yelling nasty things across the lunchroom at us. Everybody in the cafeteria was watching and listening, so I agreed to fight that day after school, mainly because I knew how it would make me look to the other people listening if I just simply backed down. Then, like every other day at lunch, me and my friends went to the bathroom, and that is when I found out that one of my best friends had been bullied so bad by Jeanette and one of the other girls that jumped me that she tried to end her own life the night before. Then about 5 minutes later, Jeanette and her friends followed us in and started a whole other argument. And by the end of the argument, the bathroom was packed full of kids waiting for a fight. And we almost ended up fighting there, but we didn't. So after school, I showed up at Kobe Park, but she didn't. Her friends kept telling me that she went home to change. Then a police officer showed up, so we all left and went to a house to fight, where she showed up almost 2.5 hours late with 2 other girls that I have never seen, let alone met before. One of the other girls tried to fight me before Jeanette even got to the backyard, but I wasn't there to fight her, so of course I said no. Once she got back there, all these people were standing around and someone yelled something, and when I looked to see who it was, she ran up and hit me before I even knew what happened. And the next thing I know, we were in the ditch and I was on the ground and the 2 other girls jumped in. And eventually, once they got off me, I got up. I don't remember deciding to go after her again, but it's hard to make clear decisions when your adrenaline is so high and you're in a situation like I was. So I went after her. And as I headed towards her, 2 people felt the need to hold me back so she could properly defend herself. And the others jumped in almost as soon as I grabbed her and proceeded to beat me even when I couldn't breathe because of how much they were kicking me in the ribs and the chest. And once they eventually stopped, all I could do was lay on the ground and look at the sky. Even when I was a kid, all I cared about was what others thought, I just laid there. And I knew everyone was looking at me, and I'm not sure why, but I just didn't care. And I laid there for what seemed like a very long time while they took pictures of me. Then I got up and drove myself home. Once I got home, my mom was asleep on the couch, and I didn't want her to find out, so I let her sleep and went to my room. But when she woke up, she came in, and I could tell by the look on her face she knew something had happened. And when she asked me if I was okay, I said no, but I still wouldn't tell her anything because I didn't believe anybody would do anything. So I begged my mom to just let it go and to let me handle it. Then my older sister yelled, "Mom, there's a video," and the house was completely quiet. I heard them play it, and I knew exactly what it was by the voices recorded in it. So when my mother came in and told me we were going to the police, I knew there was nothing I could say to try to change that. There was nothing I could say to try to change anything, because nothing in the world could describe the look on her face after she had seen that video. That was the worst part of it all. I've never seen someone cry so much, let alone my own mother. So we went to the police station where someone had already turned in a copy of one of the videos, and I still wasn't in any pain at all. Then after a while, my stomach was a little sore, so my mom took me to the hospital just to get checked out. Once we were there for a while, I started hurting, so they rushed me through tests and saw the tear in my liver. I was in so much pain by then that they couldn't even touch me. They had to put me completely to sleep for the helicopter. And the next thing I know, I'm in the trauma room, and I honestly thought that either I woke up in surgery or I had the trauma team from Grey's Anatomy surrounding me because of how many doctors were standing over me. I don't know how my mom got there as fast as the helicopter, but she came in that room not a minute after they woke me up and told me I was in Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, and that they had also found the tear in my spleen, along with 3 broken ribs and serious neck and spinal injuries. I wasn't allowed to sit up, let alone get up out of bed, but finally they let me get up and walk to the bathroom on the 4th day I was there, and I got to shower on the 5th day, with my neck brace still on. I had to wear a neck brace for a month without taking it off for a minute and still have problems with my neck. My neurologist said that if I had sustained one more kick, it would have broken my neck and I never would have been able to walk again. But still, none of it felt real. It didn't seem like it was really happening. But what I remembered most was the sound. The sound of those girls kicking my head repeatedly and all the things they were yelling. Out of everything that happened, all that I went through, the first thing I thought of was the sound. But now when I think back, the first thing I think of is all the cards and messages and flowers and all the support I got. That was amazing. All the kind words, thoughts, and prayers is what got me through it. I couldn't believe how many people were there for me, but also how many amazing people I got to know because of their similar stories. I just wish I got to know them under different circumstances. Today you have heard several stories about bullying and how it affects people. My situation could have been avoided if both Jeanette and I had made better decisions along the way. I could have avoided it by ignoring that Facebook status in the very beginning. We need to recognize when things are escalating too far. This stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's all around us. It's up to us not only to see it, but to do something about it. Thank you.